All right. Good evening or pretty good night to people joining us from the way out on the Asia Pac side to all the way to the West Coast, which is still going to see the crack of dawn for this global cyber hour. I am so thrilled to have some of my favorite people on this call. If you haven't joined, that doesn't mean you're not my favorite, but I'm sure I don't want to wake you up or push you hard. I'm sure that's after all the hard work and especially the last 2 days of content, we all needed some rest. The last 2 days was intense. I think we had probably the best. Now, I would not call them speakers. They're probably the best faculties that can teach and train a world. And this hour is again going to be packed with, I think, great ideas towards making cyberspace safe and trustworthy for humanity. Well, this has been an ethos, as I shared with our friends here, that cybersecurity. If you think about take the security aspect out and just think about cyber, it influences every domain of human life now, and humanity is so much tied to cyber in every way. Cyberspace is where our kids spend most of the time. I cannot get my son off Minecraft or when he's playing Roblox, and I cannot get myself off when I get on the Zoom all day today and every day. I think we have been pretty much zoomed out. But regardless, with the pandemic and the COVID-19 entire, humanity has been tied together by one thing, that cyberspace and our internet connections, probably as much as our lifeline is today, as it was probably the roads and bridges and airplanes. Last several years, I have flown around the world to meet many of you, and those that I don't see on the screen here are also have seen quite a bit of me going around world probably 13 times last year. I think that was the number I should have avoided. But landed off in Davos, where we met most of our friends here. That was the last time we met each other. Some in RSA as well. But this year started off so well, and I think if you think about it, humanity is lives on hope. We are a resilient species, and we'll bounce back. We are on our way back, and I think the waves will come and go. But one thing that will not end is our hope and our aspiration to make sure that we are able to get to a better state. As I'm trying here, I'm also getting a message from our friend Nick. If you can let Nick in. Nick Booker is a phenomenal story. You'll probably be so thrilled to hear from him. But another champion of hope and humility. So I will just let him in. Uh, okay, he's on that StreamYard link. Okay, excellent. So we have a Swiss parliamentarian of great great repute joining us as well, and then so as we're speaking, so for our main ethos, hope, humility, and that's what stands now. The humanity stands for. All of you here are here because not because not because just you're cyber leaders, but also because you represent the best of us, the best of our future, and the best of what we can bring and give to the world. Nick, welcome and thank you for joining us too. I'll get off my soapbox in just a bit and let you all get together. Nick, I know you have to go quickly, so I'll give you a couple of minutes, but I'll go probably start with Magda to share her thoughts. Let's hear from you, Magda. You've been doing great work as we connected last few days. And then from Magda, we'll move over to Nick, and then we'll go around the room. Hopefully, less constrained with time. So, Magda, over to you. Share your thoughts about the main ethos of cyber and humanity, and how we can connect the two and keep it together. Over to you, Magda.
Well, thank you so much. It's really an extreme pleasure to be here today. And hello, everyone watching us from all over the world. I'm definitely very excited to share from Singapore some of my thoughts about the situation. Now, I think very interesting, obviously, is the fact that we are today connected because we are able to use technology and be on sharing the cyberspace. And we are exactly the proof that cyberspace doesn't have any borders. We're literally all over the world with some people connected from early morning to some that are on the Friday evening, and it's fabulous. At the same time, when it comes with this kind of, I would say, convenience or very good added value for users, we are actually trading on something sometimes, and that something is that cybersecurity of us, because we do not realize the impact of using technology versus just being on a physical world. And I do think, if we're talking about humanity, again, and the way of how we are going around and how the world is changing, will be more and more dependent on technology, extremely so, to do everything and anything in our lives. So I would say that my perception currently and my belief is that we haven't yet transitioned, as such as we, for example, are very conscious about our physical safety and we take that very carefully and we think about it. We do not yet, as humanity, as overall society, take in consideration the same approach when we are in the cyberspace. So, one from the Asia perspective, I would say that the pandemic led to a digital transformation that has been fast tracked tremendously. Instead of 5 years into going into adopting technologies, companies did not have any choice and they needed to get into digital transformation in a few weeks. What did that mean for countries and companies that have never used those technologies? Is that they faced the fact that they were not aware at all of their responsibilities or shared responsibilities of using those technologies. And that's where I think comes as well our responsibility as cyber, leaders and cyber professionals, to raise that awareness and educate people to take the right steps. It's not about just providing an advisory or talking about cybersecurity. It is about mirroring how we acted in a physical world in a cyberspace that actually is even beyond the same threats as the physical world, because we do not have any borders, and therefore we need to realize that as well. So I think we're living in fascinating times. At the same time, again, the pandemic, from a cybersecurity perspective, I think have actually brought extreme good value to companies by raising the awareness of requirements of being more cyber aware, more cyber responsible. So, and I always say that cybersecurity is a social responsibility as well. We're not just talking about implementing some controls. It's not about that. It's about protection. And protection within this space is more than important, especially because we are also talking and we are discussing other matters in the physical world that might be our priorities for some countries or for some even family members. So we need also to realize that we don't have the time to forget what is as well important to protect ourselves and our closed ones or loved ones online. So I'm coming from really that social part of it around humanity and cybersecurity, making sure that I bring as well this visibility of Asia. I'm absolutely fascinated again about the digital transformation that went so incredibly fast comparing to the focus before the pandemic. But now again, what does it mean? It means basically that we need to ensure that that awareness around the adoption of the new technology is followed by the right cyber responsibility and the shared responsibility that everyone has while using this technology.
Great. Thank you, Magda. And the work that you do at Responsible Cyber, and it kind of reemphasizes the emphasis that you put on a responsible, our own responsibility. So thank you for joining us. Please stay on, see if we can get around this and come back to you again. I know, Nick, you have to go, sir. So I'll give you the mic next for the next 3 minutes. Let's hear from you. We have had such a pleasure talking to you and sharing our common passion for peace and prosperity and making sure everybody is doing well during this COVID pandemic. Thank you for joining us. I know you have to go back to a parliamentarian session. Your words, please.
So, hello again. I hope you can hear me. I'm in a restaurant. Did you hear too much noise?
No, absolutely not. Not yet.
It's
not
okay?
Yet.
Okay. Okay. No rumors. Okay. So, welcome everybody. In Switzerland is now 2:10 in the afternoon. I have to leave in 20 minutes. And I would like to say thank you to Val and also to Divi and everybody who joined us now. Thanks for your great efforts. I met you in the WEF last year. I'm a member of the Swiss Parliament, but I'm originally Indian. I'm proud that my Indian brothers, friends, sisters, and all over the world are so active. So let us talk a little bit about what are my issues. In the Swiss Parliament, I started the cybersecurity because Switzerland is a banana republic. Switzerland is a really third world, what belongs to the cybersecurity, cyber awareness, all this is a little bit crazy world. But I'm very happy to share with you all over the world my thoughts. As we heard, through the possibility of this cyber meetings all over the world, we have many possibilities to share our thoughts. And while you ask me what are my issues, and most of you maybe saw what I do, I'm a social entrepreneur or an ethical entrepreneur, and I like to network all over the world. And I have many projects in Switzerland, as also in India, but also in Israel. And I try as a social entrepreneur with projects like in India, in the Orissa state, Odisha, with the university, Kalinga Institute, to share with the people, to help them to make a little bit a better world. And what I learned is I'm adopted. And if I'm not adopted, I don't get these opportunities. And I learn also through the COVID crisis now that we have to share. And if you go to my LinkedIn profile, you will see I had yesterday a big success in the Swiss Parliament. They want to kill a law that we help each other for the restaurants and the small business enterprises. So I won yesterday with 2 votes, but still I'm not through because now they send it to the next chamber. That's the state senate in Switzerland. So we will see, because I think through this network, what we talk today, we have to share and we have to empower the people, because what I learned in my life, the most important for me is hope. Also hope and empowerment. And in that way, I think we can do also over the cyber world a lot. We can empower the people. We can also try to help them. And so, well, I give you back the word because I had 3 minutes and I'm a politician. I spoke 3 minutes, 10 seconds, and I will stay with you a little bit longer. If anybody has a question on my side, please ask me all what you like to hear or to know about me. Maybe somebody of you come once to Switzerland. I know these 2 gentlemen, my Indian friends, are coming in May. Others of you maybe also, so let me know. And now it's the stage back to you, and I will join you the next 15 minutes longer. And if anybody has a question, please come on.
Of course. Thank you, Nick, so much. And the work you do and the passion you have. I'm sure every opinion is always debatable, right? So your opening statement, along with our friends, other friends who will join us probably later in the day, will have and working hard to get the cyber stature of Switzerland in a different way. They will debate this situation, but I think I welcome your thoughts and thank you for sharing your thoughts. So next, let's go to Alfredo. Alfredo, yes, I want to make sure that we share with this group and the global audience about the work that we have been doing on raising the bar on education and awareness of cybersecurity, and anything else that's close to your heart. Please, here it is. Give hope to this community.
Oh yeah, thank you, Val. Thank you for inviting me to participate in this interactive meeting. So first of all, I would like to start trying to summarize some of the aspects that characterize this period of time and some of the drawbacks or special effects. So this global crisis represents a stress test for the actual organization of society. Almost all the social and economic sector are under pressure due to the pandemic. The pandemic impacted the health, economic, social, psychological, human aspects more, modifying lifestyle, altering behavioral patterns, perception, limiting directly or indirectly our freedom, generating a sense of insecurity, and amplifying the sense of loneliness of seniors. And these are some of the aspects we face in this period of time, apart from, as I understood here, at least in Italy, a very, very relevant impact on the psychological side of people. So people is scared, they is terrorized, and some of them even committed suicide in the last month due to this very stressful situation. I think one of the point is to understand exactly how ICTs and cyber world may help us in mitigating or solving some problems. We already faced the problem that is the closest to me about education, and that sector reacted very well. I mean, this pandemic had the, let's say, positive impact to accelerate the switch to digital, to e-services and distance working and learning. And this was, let's say, a positive effect, and the reaction of the educational sector was quite positive at the different levels. Of course, this impacted all the sectors, starting from kindergarten up to universities, and the way to reply to this request was different at the different levels, but in general, it was good, at least in my country, but as far as I know, it was good in general. Of course, the key point is a reasonable and secure access to network infrastructure, and this sometimes makes the difference because not all the country, not all the territories are well equipped, as well as all the different class of citizens are well equipped. If this, even if mobile devices uh, gave a important contribution to bridge this gap. So nowadays, mobile phones and tablets are available for very low prices, and governments many times used to deliver them to students and pupils in order to let them be included in this online society. This, I think, as a first round, but then we can get much more in detail. Of course, we are focusing much more on security because security is our key aspect. And again, security is, let's say, a integral complement of the access to the network infrastructure. So we need to ensure secure access to the network infrastructure, even much more if we will expand the range of services that we must, I say must nowadays, provide online because of the pandemic. And so the need, the request of secure access is increasing, even to counterbalance, as it happens very frequently, the action of cyber criminals that, due to the specific situation, have much more chances to be included within the network and makes much more businesses thanks to the crisis. So, thank you, Vlad.
Thank you for your remarks, Alfredo. Thanks for sharing your thoughts. Say hello to my friends in Italy, in Milan, and in fact, one of our colleagues is joining. Stefan is joining next hour, so he'll be speaking as well. So we have good representation from Italy. Well, again, let's move on to Hans Willem. Hans, it's good to see you. We have been trying to get this Germany Cyber Hour done, but I think this is probably a good start to the next month when we are able to settle the dust from the summit and get out this learning. We are going to get together with you and spend more time. But now this is the hour of hope, humility, and humanity. Your thoughts, please, sir.
Yes, thank you very much, and best wishes here from Berlin. I'm only 300 meters far away from the Chancellery building from Angela Merkel, and at the moment we have very sensitive hours in Germany and in Berlin. We have a very big consensus with Chancellor Angela Merkel and the prime ministers of the 16 states in Germany. And we will get the next, not lockdown, but shutdown. And yes, that's right, we need hope. But I think it's also important to organize the right next steps. And I think if you see, I think the old hierarchies we know, and the transfer to compliance and security rules doesn't work. I think we have to understand it. And the users can't wait for IT security management support at the moment. And I think we need new approaches for that. And I think that is very, very important. And I think we have to say goodbye from the old picture of central control points. I think the future will be to have different control points, internal and external, in the company organization. And for example, external cloud provider or technical details by the user. I think that is very important because the people are alone at home. Yes, they have to organize the family, the homeschooling, and so on. And that is a big problem. And the reality is, and I know it's a new study from Cisco, from the European states, and now after the first lockdown, and only 8% of the people want to work every day in the company office. And we have to respect it, yes. And only 30% say only remote, yes. That means that 87% want more personal responsibility and the possibility to decide where and when they work. That is the future. And that means that we have to change our old security concepts. I think that is very important. And I would say we have 3 points. Tip number 1, I would say, implementation of a consistent data security solution. Tip 2 is adequate access control. And number 3, we need qualified employees. That is a big problem. We have a big fight for talents. It's not only a technical challenge. We need the human factor. And that is very important. And thank you, Val, for your initiatives. I think we have to generate new models for education, for example. Yes, we need the big potential of women in cyber. Yes, and I spoke with the CIO from IWC, for example. Yes, I think we need a pragmatical approach. Now we need the support, and we need more awareness programs. Yes, for all the individuals, that they get their personal responsibility. But that's not easy. Yeah, that's not easy. But we will get a change.
We will, Hans. Thank you. And I can assure you, with this leadership and everyone that is actively engaged, there is no pause here. We are only fast forward the work. And I think pandemic has already tested us in many ways. But one thing it has tested is that we are resilient and we will bounce back. And we have bounced back digitally, I believe. But I think we have to bounce back health-wise. That will also happen. I absolutely empathize with the concerns that you have, because that's what many of us are living in right now. We are teachers, we are parents, and we are workers at the same place, and it has not been like that, and that's how we have not been used to, right? But this is challenging times. Please do, Hans, and you get to hear the decision that's made by the council today, and Chancellor Merkel kind of announces we will be with you either way. So thank you, Hans. We'll come back to you. I think we'll have some time at the end as well. So let me.
Well, I will go.
Of
I
course,
will
Nick.
go.
Thank
I
you.
will listen. Thanks a lot. Bye bye all
Thank you for
together.
joining.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
It's great to have you. Bye bye.
Great.
So as we kind of move on, I think let's move to David. And David, your thoughts, please. I know you can share and not share some of the things that you're seeing and not seeing because you have a certain role. But you have been a great inspiration for this community for a long, long time. And as much as long we know you have been, helping cyber capacity as training and teaching and overall contributing to the growth of all of us in this community here. So, David, over to you.
No, thanks, thanks for the kind words. And because of my role, I do have to start with a bit of a disclaimer, so that I'm not here in official capacity today. So these statements are my own and do not represent those of the Federal Reserve Bank or the Federal Reserve System. So again, I think it's a very important topic that we're talking about today. And with any challenge, there's
Lisa,
always
Louise Mineralwasser,
people
zahlen wir
to
den Angelika. Ist gut.
accept and really adopt to the challenges. So one of the nice things I like about this topic is we talk about hope, humility, and humanity. I think we talked about their war for talent earlier. That no matter where you are geographically located, there is a big shortage of cyber professionals and cyber people. So when I think about it in the educational work, that as cyber leaders, we all have a civic duty to kind of figure out how do we give back to our communities. And when I think about cybersecurity and risk and things like that, it offers great opportunity. Because you think about the socioeconomic divide that many countries have. The nice thing about being a cyber professional is these individuals can come from all walks of life. This isn't something that you need a master's degree to do. This isn't something that you need a PhD to do. So I think as leaders, it's kind of, how do we find the talent, whether we're starting at high school and, and we're going into college, how do we nurture the talent and how do we kind of bring people into the fact that there are careers in cyber and there are careers in IT risk and things like that? Because I think too often, when people go, to college, graduate school, and things like that, you see the traditional education routes. And don't get me wrong, I mean, I do have a tendency to collect advanced degrees myself as well. But when you look at the opportunity, you can really get skilled people and bring skilled people up without having to go through advanced degrees or things like that. So part of it is, how do we start building these networks of opportunity for the next generation of cyber professionals, where we're, identifying the talent early, nurturing them, and really showing them there is opportunity here, as well as making sure, that we can keep the training, I guess, affordable and attainable for everyone.
Sure thing. I think that's been a topic of common interest, David, for long, and I think it's now a public interest and a national interest. If you think about it, international interest, I think the whole trusted talent pool that we have been set out to build together. And David, as we started this whole global commission on cyber education way back in 2017, I think those couple of years, were kind of prelude to this. So now we can actively get on. Welcome, Tom. Good to have you in this session. We'll get to you. Welcome. All right. Next, let's move to Mihailat. Great to see you and see your face after almost 9 months, almost a year now. So good to see you. So I've been following you and we have been interacting digitally. But great to hear your thoughts today. So on this topic, which I think is extremely close to you, I believe.
Definitely. And can you hear me well?
Yes, now we can. Yes.
Okay, great. So, of course, I have a lot to say. First of all, to congratulate you for the amazing meetings which you assembled this week. But I have limited time, so I'll jump into the topic. And I see this topic, of course, as we all do, as crucial. So I'm going to address it in the following way. I'm going to pose a question. I'm going to describe the problem, and then I'm going to point to a few solutions. The question, as I see it, is how do we solve the cyber peace paradox? These two words, I think if anybody thinks of cyberspace today, it's very hard to think of peace. And the problem description is as follows, at least in my view. Throughout my career, I've been working towards, so before the Facebooks, before the Googles and so on, towards what I call the e-society dream. I held the Canada Research Chair in e-society. I've been doing a lot of work with industry and startups, mentoring them to build a better digital twin, as our friend here is calling it. So I envision the society, probably like many of you, as a glue united humanity to catalyze action, to bring to the fore the best of us, the best of who we are. And now, looking from where we are now, what has become of it? We have surveillance predatory practices. We have the surveillance capitalist platforms, which are now, of course, under many lawsuits from governments. And we are all terrified of what is going on those platforms, including freedom of speech, including, I think the most terrifying thing is that, as Magda was saying, cyberspace is a mirror of society. And unfortunately, what we see in that mirror is not really so much dreamlike. The pandemic is replicated in cyberspace with many viruses. What struck me yesterday, which, as a professor of computer science, I am training several hackers, let's call them this way, is that in the innovation session, hackers were given an example of innovators, of entrepreneurs, of creativity. And yet, how do they use that creativity? How do they use their talent? So the most important thing, as the previous speaker mentioned, is the education, but the education not necessarily on technology, although I'm a technologist. The education as character, as human first, and then technologist. I think this is missing. And therefore, I agree that a PhD is not the most important thing. Not necessarily the technical acumen, but the character acumen and being a human and learning what does that mean. So in order to go away from this cyber safety as illusion, there are a few solutions. And of course, I'm not going to be able to list all of them, at least not the ones which I see now. So number one is, as a technologist, of course, I'm working on this. I call tech for hope, like quantum cryptography, trustless platforms on blockchain, computing on encrypted data, and so on and so forth, which can guard our privacy in cyberspace. However, this is not enough, and it cannot be the ultimate solutions because I'm training hackers every day in my computer science class. So it's going to always, they will even out the field on technology very quickly. So I think the main point is here that in the privacy, security, and trust triad, to put the emphasis on trust as a choice. And on us as individuals, how are we using this technology? Why? And what is the meaning of our life? We as a humanity have to transcend the us versus them game and come together and put our creativity for good. Thank you.
That is so. That I mean, I now I think I have to go back and say, what does PhD actually mean? It's doctorate in philosophy, something similar, right? So philosophically speaking, is actually probably practically speaking too. So Mihail, that is so moving. Thank you so much, and that kind of encapsulates the hope of this hour that we are on the right track with the right people at the right time. I know many of you want to jump in, but let's follow this order still. Guri, brother, I want to go to you next. I have missed a meeting and sitting down with you, having our chats and cafes, but well, here we are, and with your hopes and thoughts, please.
So much, likewise, so much, Val. And thank you for your continued efforts in keeping this going. We've got such a great and vibrant community over here, despite everything. there is the way I look at the three aspects of our theme over here is that there is a reawakening of our intrinsic humanity and humility in hope for better technology. And in the spirit of humanity, to my Indian friends, I want to greet them with Happy Dussehra, Happy Durga Puja, upcoming Happy Diwali, and to the rest of my friends over here, of course, Thanksgiving and a lot of greetings for events and New Year's coming in. We've seen humanity come into our web meetings. We've seen children playing around us while we are in our business meetings. We've seen, of course, our dogs coming in and out. We've seen bells, and we've seen people doing all sorts of things. And it's been very pleasing to see how the humane side of us comes to the table of our meeting. I just feel very, very special about that. The humility side is really in one aspect of burning of one's ego. I come from, most of you would know this, I come from probably the most recognizable religion of the world, which is called Sikhism. And we carry our identity, as you can see and tell, in our apparel. And the definition of humility over there, it's the fuel that burns your ego. And that in a different, in a interpretation in this context is really, we talk about the dependency and how entrenched we are in technology. But at the other end of technology, yes, there are machines. But at the other end of this technology, there are also people, like how we are gathered over here. So increasingly, it is the dependence and the interdependence on people that I feel, right? And I feel that is a really important aspect of humility, despite the lack of our physical proximity. We feel an acuter need for, being in proximity. I think the absence of proximity really helps us realize what we are missing. I left hope till the end because I wanted to tie it into some of the work that I've been doing. And a little bit to what Mihaela was saying is, even though we've come such a long way in technology, and as you know, the battle between work and life balance is over, and the battle between devices and non-devices is on. So if you look at that aspect, we all know how long technology has brought us, no doubt about it. But we also know the weaknesses of technology. And in that context, one of the initiatives I was privileged enough to co-convene is called the Covet Credentials Initiative. And this also highlights what I might say a cultural aspect and a freedom aspect of most of our humanity, particularly in democratic countries. And the idea behind the Covet Credentials Initiative is it's a volunteer group which started with, we were expecting 40 people, 50 people would jump in, and at the kickoff there were like 250. I think at peak membership there were about 400 people, and about 100 to 150 are active at any one time on our regular meetings every week. And the idea is to come up with the use of digital credentials, verifiable credentials and digital passports, commonly known as digital wallets, in order to prove infection status of an individual. Now, very, very worthy cause. And by the way, the underlying philosophy of a verifiable credential, which runs on top of blockchain without getting into the technology aspects, is to have an issuer of credentials, of course, the holder of the credentials, and a verifiable of the credentials. So you can think that three-triangular relationship in proving that I don't have an infection, or yes, I have an infection, or if my test is negative, the expiration is such and such a date, and now I can enter an institution or somebody's home and those kind of things. There are scores of demos of that work being available in all countries. Singapore, Magda, you would know, has adopted it. Hong Kong has adopted it. And actually in US, it's been a challenge. So a little bit to the hope aspect. And part of the challenge really is the tension between hope, humanity, and humility, and the tension of that with individual freedom. I think those of us from US know that very well, and those of us from Western countries, highly democratic countries, understand that very well. And that is a tension. I think somebody touched on this, that the risk that digital passports, anything digital in terms of identity, can possibly risk for mask surveillance. So we still haven't solved a lot of the problems. I think we solved the plumbing of the house, right? We put the plumbing, but our roof still leaks. And in fact, earlier this week or last weekend, I participated at a hackathon called Policython, which was hosted by Harvard's Kennedy School of Government. And I was privileged to be a mentor and a judge over there. And it brings a whole different dimension of the challenges, and also a whole different dimension to my humility on what are the policies that need to be written for these kind of challenges that we are facing. So once again, just to wrap up, and thank you again, Val, and thank you for everybody coming together over here. I just feel that there's been a reawakening of our intrinsic humanity and humility in hope for what remains to be done in technology. Well, back to you.
Thank you, Guri. That is again so inspiring. I think it's all like the building, the momentum is building up to end with Tom right after we talk to Devi. Nag, your thoughts, please. On this
Thank you
topic.
all. It's good to see you virtually. All the smiley faces. I know it's been too late for everybody. Few things. I mean, everybody spoke extensively about hope, humility, and the humanity. This is so heartfelt thing to see, especially during the COVID crisis, and the US currently going through the elections, and hopefully whoever wins will have the humility to accept the result and move on and work towards a better future for all of us. Coming back to what we do in the hope is gender parity. I think one of the speakers who spoke about very passionately about bringing the women leadership into the cyber force. When you look at it, 30 to 40% of the population is the woman who's not given an opportunity. So from my side, how we contribute is promoting the 50% of the women on the corporate boards. I think that message is where if you have the women, not just the CEO roles, but if you have more women on the corporate boards, the narrative will change, the dialogue will change. It doesn't matter whoever is the CEO after. I think that's where the hope is. So hopefully that's one of the key contributions that I passionately support, being the woman. And hopefully, and I always talk about Val about if you have one more woman leadership coming on to this panel, take me out of this panel so that she can come and speak passionately about what the contributions are. I think that's the one key. So, Val, I'll give it back to you. So, hope is definitely on the horizon. So, look forward to that. Thank you.
Of course, and that is what we live for. So thank you. And now, all that momentum builds up to Tom, my friend. I know this is a topic that is so close to you. I mean, if I have to close my eyes and think about it, I've talked about cybersecurity and thinking about that image. And when I think about a friend, of course, the whole imagery comes. But you stand out definitely in terms of when it comes to humility and hope. So up to you, Tom.
Well, Val, let me first just thank you for holding this venue with this topic. Too many times these subjects, hope, humility, they've been overlooked. They've not been the focus, and we get too drilled down into this piece of technology or this piece of policy, and opening it up, especially with this esteemed group that surrounds the CFF on a global basis. It's really exciting to be part of it, and I thank you. Like Mihaela, I will jump into what I want to say and share and start with people. I think, as many of you know, I'm the Chief Trust Officer for the global technology company Unisys, which allows me to go work on critical infrastructure projects all over the world and really focus not on the bits and the bytes of it, but on the trust of it. How do we engender trust? How do we use technology right? How do our clients use technology in the best way? For the past few years, I've been assigned to the White House's project called the National Cyber Moonshot. And that really, with 2020 starting with such difficulty for everybody around the world for all the obvious reasons. And that's where the focus rightly is for most people. Because of my role with the National Cyber Moonshot, our goal is to look at this decade. And this decade has started with a lot of difficulty, but it does not have to end with a lot of difficulty. So my event horizon is 2030. I'm looking at, this is our time. This is our opportunity. There are new technologies. We started talking earlier this year, it seems a lifetime ago in Davos, about the fourth industrial revolution and what those new technologies mean, artificial intelligence, and it's coming in quantum communications that's coming, and new identity mechanisms that are coming, and 5G that's coming and going to change the final mile around the world. All those are coming, all those are part of it. The question is, are they just going to come and steamroll humanity? Or are we going to take them? Are we going to harness them as they come? Are we going to use them to actually improve our lives, improve our trust, improve our privacy, improve our security? That's inherent. It's capable within all those technologies that are coming this decade, but it's not automatic. That's why I say this is our time. The cyber moonshot that the US is working on applies, the same principles apply all over the world, because the world shares this common interest in protecting their critical infrastructure. So everybody understands that we need to get around these technologies, really work together. The blueprint that we've put together and that we're working to action here in the States, the National Cyber Moonshot, really focuses on those techs, but much more than that. We talk about having cyber education from what we call K through gray. We want everybody to be part of this. If they're not part of the solution, they're going to be at greater risk, not at less risk. And so we've been really working to try and bring innovation to cyber education all over the world. And that the possibilities there are just tremendous. So many good things going on in that space around the world. We're trying to connect them and share that information. Trusted ecosystems, so you know that what you use is really doing what you expect it to do. That's got to be worked on actively in order to do that. We need to change the behaviors of the users. In the US, we've had for most of my life, buckle up for safety. When you get into a car, you put on the seatbelt. Everybody does that. That's a behavioral change that was forced on people. The concept of putting a strap around you in your seat was crazy back then. And now, of course, everyone knows the jingle and they just plug it in and off we go. Behavioral changes need to come, and we're working with Hollywood in order to try and bring that into the pop culture around the world, with music and with games and with movies and television around the world, to try and show people what they can do to better protect themselves and to have a greater life. So as we go through this decade, all of you and everybody watching, this is the time to step up, to grab this new technology and make sure it's used properly, make sure it's used for the people, for humanity as we go forward. I guarantee you the technology capabilities are there. Quantum communications is going to be the way all of this stuff gets beamed around by the end of this decade, and no one's doing it today. So you have the opportunity to learn the physics behind it, or to learn to work for the companies that are going to go design and architect it, or work in the governments that are going to set up the policy and regulations for it. You have that capability. Someone's going to do it. And if you just sit back, it's probably going to not be done in the best interest of you and everyone else. It's going to be done in the best interest of commerce or a particular government or some group that doesn't have everyone's best interest at heart. But these technologies are there for you. It's a wide open field. It's a global field. I'm so excited and positive. I've been spending most of my time these last 3 years working on this with some of the best minds in the world. And I am excited. I am optimistic. I know we can actually do this. It's really hard to conceive of a safe and secure internet, but that is a possibility to come out of this decade with. And that's what I want to leave everybody with. Get involved. The opportunity is amazing and it's important.
Excellent, Tom. Thank you for getting us on the this climax. And I would say that what we shared yesterday was that, again, Cyber Peace Hour, we talked about cybersecurity being is not a spectator sport, right? We want to participate. All of us are welcome, and we have to be participating in this sport. So it is our global Olympics, so to speak, right? And where everybody can participate, and you don't have to be an Olympian athlete to do that. So thank you, Tom, for that message. Well, we have probably 5 minutes. We'll just go around the horn real quick, just through your concluding messages. Magda, we'll start with you. 30 seconds. Something that you want to share with the world, and I think re-emphasizes what you just said earlier.
Thank you, Val. I think my message or my key takeaway is cyber is a social responsibility, and it starts with every one of us.
Excellent. Thank you, Magda.
Less than 30 seconds, right?
Less than 30 seconds, you did. And that's what we want to be, very concise and precise and get people understand very quickly. All right. So next, let's go to Alfredo.
Yeah, okay. My message is basically to improve cyber awareness, yes, even to reduce problems that nowadays are arising about the protection of privacy and the idea that the big brother is overlooking us. So this was very evident this period of time due to the application to trace contacts. They were not spread across the country because people was not having a good trust relation with such kind of applications. And this, of course, poses and still posing problems.
No, thank you, Alfredo. We will have to be well aware, as our probably friend George will very much agree. Hans Willem, let's go to you for your closing quick thoughts.
Yes, thank you. Normally, we have to travel a lot around the world, and we have to organize a lot of events and so on. And I think we have to use the time now to communicate with our trust family and to generate new synergies. I think that is very important because we have a big potential together. Everybody in his country and in his fields and so on. And I think we have to use the time frame now.
Get together.
Please do it. Yes, feel free. Sometimes it's better to speak 15 minutes, yes, via web conference or telephone. It's better than to talk.
Absolutely. Thank
nothing.
you, Hans Willem.
Yes.
David, your thoughts, please.
Thanks. I definitely concur with everything my colleagues have spoken about. And I think, we all have a civic duty, or should have a civic duty, to help each other. Everybody has a different capacity to help in some way or another. And I think cyber is still a great opportunity, for us to help develop people, and help secure organizations, as well as help set the policy for the future. So I think, it's kind of, leverage your civic duty to help others.
Excellent. Thank you, David. Mihaela.
Yes. So, the weakest link is obviously cybersecurity, the weakest link in cyberspace. And hackers will always keep us humble. So, ladies and gentlemen, don't worry about humility. The question is, what kind of world do we want to build? As a technologist, I'm working on infrastructures which we call distributed autonomous organizations that are capable to deploy in the real world from cyberspace rules of more positive games. The rules that are actually making technology more humane than our society is now. So the question is now, are we going to keep up with that kind of technology as a society? I think it's time to pause and think. And hopefully
thank you, Mihaela. We have to do pause and think. We have to see what we are building, and if we are fit for that, or they are fit for, we are fit for them. So thank you. Guri, your thoughts, please.
I echo what I was describing earlier, and that's a reawakening of humanity and humility and hope for where technology is still unfinished. So our work is not done. And I would point out three things for those of us who have been close to the blockchain space, like Mihaela, myself, and a few others I know. We got to continue, and we got to deliver on the internet of trust. We built out the previous internet, but we never built out an internet of trust. Secondly, I think it's increasingly important to what I was alluding in the work in the hackathon, the policython at Harvard, I've come to a greater realization that it's increasingly important to have other disciplines very, very engaged and not just have an echo chamber of technologists into the future of these solutions, and have more inclusivity, have more humanity, humanness. And to Tom's point, we have to change behaviors. And yes, it would take the likes of Hollywood to change behaviors.
Yeah.
And the last point I would leave, and David might appreciate this, we just need closer partnerships between public and private sectors and organizations. And I mean that not just from a content standpoint, I mean that also from a massive capital investment standpoint as well. Some of the things that private sectors can't do for whatever reason, intrinsically so, is where public sector has to offer to jump in. So I think that partnership between public and private is increasingly important. Back to you, Val.
Absolutely. Thank you, Guri. And that is one of the core missions, that is to create the public-private partnership and continue on in so many of our what we do and along the group. So thank you. Nag, your closing thoughts, please.
Thank you. I'll go back to the building trust is the key. And when I go back to the school and teaching to the students, I always talk about integrity is the key. Integrity is the one, what you do, even no one is watching. So doing the right thing is important, and building the trust actually helps to look for the future as more focused and have hope on that. Thank you.
So, thank you, Ram. Tom, sir, close us out.
So, lofty goals, great ideas, big thinking. That's what everyone's hearing in this hour. And hopefully I've taken away a very positive message from all of you, and hopefully they're feeling positive, but maybe they're not feeling like they know where to start. So let me close with offering 2 asks from everybody out there. The first one's easy: mentor. Pick 3 people that are earlier in their career than you are. So wherever you are, there's people that aren't there yet. Whether you're there or here, it doesn't matter. Pick people that are earlier than you. Pick people that don't look like you and mentor them. Just 3, and really put some muscle into it. Really help them, guide them, tell them what to read, get them involved in projects, get them involved in contests, really push them forward, urge them forward. And that will be a great way, because I guarantee you, I love mentoring people. You learn so much more from their ideas and their new things. So pick 3 people that don't look like you and mentor them into something that in a career path that you've already excelled in at whatever level. And the second is understand these technologies that in the 4IR, or what we call in the US the cyber moonshot. Get involved with them. If you're a student, learn about them, take classes in them. If you're working, go look at these companies. These are not the mainstream big giant names necessarily. There's a lot of brand new companies that are nascent, that are going to be the top companies at the end of this decade. Get involved with some of them so that you can, in fact, help steer this. And if you're in the public policy side, I don't mean to ignore that part, but then get involved in the government side around these technologies. Help us shape them in the right way, but get involved somewhere. Start, and then you'll move up and move in, and hopefully you'll be the leaders coming out of this decade.
We need those leaders coming very quickly, and we need them, because then we know we can move on and do better and greater things together. So thank you so much. This hour just flew by, and such great words, such great inspiration and motivation. I cannot wait to see you in person, but seeing you here gives me hope. And I'm humble that we are all together and working with you, such great leaders, and humanity has hope. So thank you so much. Let's make trust and keep trust in cyberspace, but more so, let's put humanity first. Thank you all. Have a great rest of the day and evening. Enjoy, and have a great weekend.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Val. Thank you to all of you. And see you soon.
See you.
Maybe physically, we hope.
Thanks, everyone.